Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the FY 2026 Open Textbooks Pilot Program, or OTP Program Competition Pre-Application Technical Assistance webinar. My name is Corinne Abrams, and I'll be guiding you through today's session. We're excited to support your efforts in creating new open textbooks and expanding the use of open textbooks and course materials in courses that are part of a degree-granting program, particularly those with high enrollments, as well as helping to achieve the highest level of savings for students through sustainable, expanded use of open textbooks in high enrollment courses or in programs that prepare individuals for in-demand fields. Please note that the application period runs from May 21st, 2026 to June 23rd, 2026. All official documents will be posted to the website and grants.gov, including the application notice and instructions, or ANI, the pre-application webinar slide deck and recording, FY 2026 competition FAQs, and other resources such as a live Q&A. For questions about the competition, please contact us at otp@ed.gov. Your FY 2026 OTP program competition contact, our competition manager, this cycle is my wonderful colleague, Dr. Robin Dabney, and you may contact her with any questions at otp@ed.gov. As a disclaimer, do not rely solely on the information provided during the presentation or in this document. Please refer to the application notice and instructions and the program regulations that are published in the Federal Register, as these are the official documents governing the FY 2026 Open Textbooks Pilot Program competition. Today's agenda will cover a few topics. First, we will look at some program information and applicable laws. We will have a FY 26 competition overview. We'll take a look at some applicant eligibility and application requirements. We'll take a look at the priorities, both those required and optional to respond to, the selection criteria, the 10 performance measures that are required for the OTP program, the application checklist, submission information, the review process, and some resources. Before we jump into information about the program and the FY 26 competition, here are some common acronyms you might see throughout the competition and in the resource documents. Please familiarize yourself with this slide as you review the competition documents and begin to develop your application. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into that first part of our technical assistance webinar today, the program information and applicable laws. As I mentioned at the beginning, the purpose of the OTP grant program is to support projects at eligible institutions of higher education, or IHEs, or state higher education agencies and nonprofit organizations that create new open textbooks and expand the use of open textbooks and course materials in courses that are part of a degree granting program, particularly those with high enrollments. This pilot program emphasizes the development of projects that demonstrate the greatest potential to achieve the highest level of savings for students through sustainable, expanded use of open textbooks in high enrollment courses or in programs that prepare individuals for in-demand fields. Open textbook means a textbook that is licensed under a worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free, perpetual and irrevocable license to the public to exercise any of the rights under the copyrighted conditioned only on the requirement that attribution be given as directed by the copyright owner. An open textbook may also include a variety of open educational resources or materials used by instructors in the development of a course and those learning activities necessarily for successful completion of a course by students. These include any learning exercises, technology-aided experiences such as simulations, and adaptive, supportive, and assessment tools. For applicants, this means that the project should not stop at describing open textbook creation. This application should explain how the open materials will reduce costs, increase access, improve course completion, and support degree granting programs or pathways connected to in-demand fields. This program is administered by the Department of Labor's Employment and Training Division, linked here, on behalf of the Department of Education, or ED. The OTP program is fully aligned with America's talent strategy and the reindustrialization agenda of the Trump administration. As described in the March 16, 2026 Dear Colleague letter, ED and DOL developed this partnership through an interagency agreement to better employment and earning outcomes for post-secondary students. The Open Textbooks pilot program invites applications that will expand the use of high-quality, open license textbooks that dramatically reduce costs for students. In this competition, applicants are encouraged to further America's talent strategy by harnessing artificial intelligence or AI to accelerate the creation, adaptation, customization, and continuous improvement of open textbooks. AI tools may be used to support rigorous content development, improve accessibility, enable learning pathways, or facilitate efficient updates to keep materials current. Applicants are also encouraged to integrate enduring primary sources from the great books of Western history, such as the foundational works in philosophy, literature, history, science, etc., that are critical to the survival of the American Constitutional Republic, into open textbooks across disciplines, including the humanities, social sciences, general education, and interdisciplinary studies. Projects may adapt or contextualize the great books with AI in ways that promote deep reading, critical inquiry, civil discourse, and education for democratic citizenship while making these sources accessible and adaptable. Such integration of AI in the great books can help address gaps in the open educational resources ecosystem by providing affordable, high-fidelity alternatives to current textbooks that are historically inaccurate and are not grounded in the tradition of Western canon. So what does DOL alignment mean for OTP applicants? Applicants should show how open textbooks and open course materials support lowering student costs and reducing financial barriers, persistence in course completion in high enrollment courses, degree granting pathways that lead to further education or employment, programs tied to in-demand fields and state workforce priorities, workforce readiness, including applied skills and durable skills, employment and earning outcomes where data are available, scalable adoption across institutions, programs, and course sections, and sustainable use after the federal project ends. Applicants do not need to turn OTP into a traditional workforce grant. The point is to show that the open materials are connected to student progress and economic opportunity. A strong application should describe the courses being targeted, why those courses matter, how many students will benefit, and how the project connects to in-demand fields or state priorities when applicable. Applicants are encouraged to avoid generic claims such as, "This project supports workforce development." Instead, applicants should identify the program, pathway, course sequence, target student population, and measurable student outcomes. OTP as a workforce development strategy. Open textbooks are not only affordability tools. In FY26, applicants should show how open materials help students enter, persist in, and complete programs connected to workforce needs. Strong projects may target gateway courses required for high-demand programs, high enrollment general education courses that affect degree progress, program sequences in healthcare, education, IT, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, skilled trades, business, logistics, or other state-identified in-demand fields. Courses that create barriers because commercial materials are too expensive, inaccessible, outdated, or not aligned with current workforce skills. And courses where open materials can be adopted and sustained across multiple institutions or sections. OTP is still an open textbook and open course materials program. The workforce development opportunity comes from choosing the right courses and explaining why those courses matter. A high enrollment gateway course in anatomy, statistics, writing, computer science, business, or math can be workforce relevant if it affects student progress in degree granting programs connected to workforce needs. Applicants should document the connection between selected courses and programs of study. They should also describe why these programs matter to students, institutions, employers, or state workforce priorities. Another potential component of OTP projects is using AI responsibly. AI may support OTP projects by helping applicants to draft, adapt, and update open textbooks and ancillary materials. improve accessibility, readability, and plain language explanations, generate examples, simulations, practice items, glossaries, and student supports, translate or contextualize materials for different learners and programs, and keep materials current in fast-changing fields, as well as embed AI literacy activities into courses and help students evaluate AI-generated information and use AI responsibly. It's important that you explain the human review process when it comes to AI, as well as the accessibility checks, the subject matter expert validation, copyright and open license compliance, and how AI literacy gains will be measured. This does not suggest that AI is a substitute for faculty expertise or content review. Instead, AI should be framed as a tool that can accelerate or improve open content development when used with appropriate safeguards. Applicants should explain who reviews AI-assisted content, how accuracy is validated, how bias and accessibility are addressed, how intellectual property and open licensing are handled, and how students will learn to use AI responsibly if AI literacy is part of the project. As we've talked about earlier, another component of OTP is that affordability, completion, and workforce alignment. The FY26 competition should be understood as more than a textbook affordability initiative. Strong projects will show how open textbooks and open course materials reduce student costs while also supporting completion, persistence, and preparation for in-demand fields. Applicants should consider how their projects will reduce textbook and course material costs for a large number of students, improve success in high enrollment and gateway courses, support degree granting programs connected to workforce need, expand access to high-quality open educational resources, use AI appropriately to develop, adapt, update, or improve materials, build AI literacy and responsible AI use where appropriate, align with state workforce priorities and career pathways, measure student savings, course success, adoption, and sustainability. Applicants are not just creating open textbooks. They are creating open, scalable, affordable materials and help students complete courses, progress through degree pathways, and prepare for in-demand fields with AI used responsibly where it strengthens content, access, accessibility, and learning outcomes. On this slide, you will see the applicable laws and regulations governing the program, such as the Program Authority in 20 U.S. Code 1138 through 1138D, and the explanatory statement in Division B of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2026, as well as the application regulations in EDGAR, the Uniform Guidance in 2 CFR 200, the OMB guidelines, the Secretary's supplemental priorities, and the 2020 NFP, or Notice of Final Priorities. Please note projects will be awarded and must be operated in a manner consistent with non-discrimination requirements contained in the federal civil rights laws. All right, so we're going to take a look at a brief FY 2026 competition overview before we jump into the specifics of the competition. Some key details is that the assistance listing number is 84.116T, that's ALN. The application notice opened on May 21st with an application of June 23rd, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. We have the Federal Register notice linked here as well as the application notice and instructions. However, you will apply through grants.gov using the funding opportunity number linked here, ed-grant-26-036. The FY26 appropriations include estimated available funds of $7 million, an estimated range of awards from $1.5 million to $2 million, an estimated average size of awards of $1.75 million over 4 years, an estimated number of awards of 4 awards, a maximum award of $2 million, and a project period of up to 48 months or 4 years. There are no cost sharing or matching requirements for this competition. This program does use an unrestricted indirect cost rate. For more information regarding indirect costs or to obtain a negotiated indirect cost rate, please see this website here for our indirect cost division and they will be happy to help you. This competition does allow for subgrantees. Under 34 CFR 75.708B and C, a grantee under this competition may award subgrants to directly carry out project activities described in its application to entities listed in the grant application. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what applicant eligibility looks like for the FY26 OTP competition. For this competition, eligible applicants are institutions of higher education as defined in Section 101 of the Higher Education Act of 1965 as amended HEA, combinations of such institutions, and other public and private nonprofit institutions and agencies. Please note, public agencies may include state education agencies and state higher education agencies. Please refer to the ANI, the application notice and instructions, for all eligible applicant definitions. As noted in the ANI, the following entities are defined accordingly. As we just mentioned, IHE is defined in Section 101 of the HEA, and public or private nonprofit organizations and agencies are defined as followed. Nonprofit, as applied to an agency, organization, or institution, means that it is owned and operated by one or more corporations or associations whose net earnings do not benefit and cannot lawfully benefit any private shareholder entity, as defined in 34 CFR 77.1. Public, as applied to an agency, organization, or institution, means that the agency, organization, or institution is under the administrative supervision or control of a government other than the federal government, and that is also defined in 34 CFR 77.1. Private, as applied to an agency, organization, or institution, means that it is not under federal or public supervision or control, and that is also defined in 34 CFR 77.1. Note some examples of public or private organizations and agencies may include local education agencies, state education agencies, state higher education agencies, etc. A state educational agency means the State Board of Education or other agency or officer primarily responsible for the supervision of public elementary and secondary schools in a state. In the absence of this officer or agency, it is an officer or agency designated by the governor or state law, and that's defined in 34 CFR 77.1. And a state higher education agency has the meaning as defined in 20 U.S. Code 1003 and in parentheses 22. Applicants should provide ample documentation regarding their entity type. As a reminder, please refer to the ANI for all eligible applicant definitions. If it is not clear that an applicant meets the eligibility criteria, the application may be flagged as ineligible. An applicant that is a nonprofit organization may, under 34 CFR 75.51, demonstrate its nonprofit status in one of four ways. Number one, proof that the Internal Revenue Service currently recognizes the applicant as an organization to which contributions are tax deductible under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. Number two, a statement from a state taxing body or the state attorney general certifying that the organization is a nonprofit organization operating within the state and that no part of its net earnings may lawfully benefit any private shareholder or individual. Number three, a certified copy of the applicant's certificate of incorporation or similar document if it clearly establishes the nonprofit status of the applicant. Or number four, any item described above if that item applies to a state or national parent organization, together with a statement by the state or parent organization that the applicant is a local nonprofit affiliate. Document related to evidence of nonprofit status should be included in the Other Attachments section. In addition, applicants should reference their nonprofit status in the abstract. Furthermore, if you are proposing to award subgrants, if your subgrantee is a nonprofit, they must also demonstrate nonprofit status, and you can include that in the Other Attachments section. Applicants may only submit one application as the lead applicant or fiscal agent. However, applicants are allowed to be designated as partners or subgrantees on multiple applications for which they are not the lead applicant or fiscal agent. Please note if an applicant responds to Competitive Preference Priority 2, which is returning education to the states, that is project or proposals that will be carried out by state higher education agencies, only one state higher education agency may apply for CPP2, consistent with the adopted definition in 20 U.S. Code 100322 that a state higher education agency is the officer or agency primarily responsible for the state supervision of higher education. Note if an applicant submits multiple applications as a lead applicant or fiscal agent, only the application with the latest date and time received validation will be reviewed. All right, let's briefly look at some other application requirements before jumping into our priorities. These requirements are from the Notice of Final Priorities, Requirements and Definitions, Fund for the Improvement of Post-Secondary Education Open Textbooks Pilot Program, published in the Federal Register on September 15, 2020, and apply to this competition for FY26 and any subsequent year in which we make awards from the lists of unfunded applications from this competition. Applicants are required to respond to these two components. Accessibility, which means all digital content developed under this grant program must incorporate the principles of universal design, and that website's linked here, to ensure that they are accessible to individuals with disabilities. The content and courses must be in full compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 as amended, and the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 Level AA, linked here. Please note the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.2 was published on December 12, 2024. WCAG 2.2 extends Web Content Accessibilities 2.1, and Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.2 is also linked here. Applicants must also respond to technical standards for interoperability. All digital assets developed under this grant program must be produced to maximize interoperability, exchange, and reuse, and must conform to industry-recognized open standards and specifications. Applicants must identify the industry standard they will use. All digital assets created in whole or in part under this grant program must be licensed for free, attributed public use, and distribution as required under 2 CFR 3474.20, which is our open licensing requirements. Alrighty, let's go ahead and jump into our competition priorities. This notice contains 3 absolute priorities and 2 competitive preference priorities. The absolute priorities are from the NFP, the Notice of Final Priorities for this program, published in the Federal Register on September 15, 2020. Competitive Preference Priority 1, Advancing Artificial Intelligence in AI Education, is from the Secretary's Supplemental Priority and Definitions on Advancing Artificial Intelligence in Education, published in the Federal Register on April 13, 2026. Competitive Preference Priority 2 is from the Secretary's Supplemental Priorities and Definitions on Evidence-Based Literacy, Education Choice, and Returning Education to the States, published in the Federal Register on September 9, 2025. Absolute priorities for this fiscal year 2026 and any subsequent year in which we make awards from the list of unfunded applications from this competition under 34 CFR 75.105C3, we only consider applications that meet each absolute priority. Each application must clearly identify the specific subset of the absolute priority for which a grant is requested. So that is entailing to applicants that absolute priorities 1, 2, and 3 are all required for applicants to respond to. And if you don't respond to all 3 priorities, your application will be deemed ineligible. For FY26 and any subsequent year in which you make awards from the list of unfunded applications, the 2 competitive preference priorities under 3475.105C2I receive additional points, however, they are optional to respond to. An application may receive up to 10 additional points under competitive preference priority 1 and may be awarded 0 or 10 points under competitive preference priority 2. ED will not review or award points where an applicant fails to clearly identify the competitive preference priority or priorities that it wishes ED to consider for the purposes of awarding competitive preference priority points. Applicants should include a letter of designation or endorsement by the governor or chief state education official in response to competitive preference priority 1. Applicants may include additional narrative no more than 3 pages to address the invitational priority or the competitive preference priority 2. Applicants should upload these documents to the other attachments form. And again, as a reminder, both competitive preference priority 1 and 2 are optional to respond to for additional points. All priorities that are being addressed must be identified in the abstract form and the project narrative section of the application. Do not merely restate the priority language. Show how the project design, partners, courses, and materials, dissemination plan, evaluation, and budget advance OTP's affordability, completion, open licensing, and workforce alignment goals. To begin, let's take a look at absolute priority 1, which is required, and this is improving collaboration and dissemination. To meet this priority, an eligible applicant must propose to lead and carry out projects that involve a consortia of institutions, instructors, and subject matter experts, including no less than 3 IHEs, along with relevant employers, workforce stakeholders, and/or trade or professional associations. In-demand industry sector means an industry sector that has a substantial current or potential impact, including through jobs that lead to economic self-sufficiency and opportunities for advancement on the state, regional, or local economy as appropriate, and that contributes to the growth or stability of other supporting businesses or the growth of other industry sectors. In-demand occupation means an occupation that currently has or is projected to have a number of positions, including positions that lead to economic self-sufficiency and opportunities for advancement in an industry sector so as to have a significant impact on the state, regional, or local economy as appropriate. Trade or professional association means a membership or organization that inspects employers or practitioners or leads credentialing programs in a specific industry or sector. And workforce stakeholder means an individual or organization with an interest in the employability of others, either for self-interest or the interest of other employers. And in order to improve collaboration and dissemination in this absolute priority, applicants must explain how those members of the consortium will work together to develop and implement open textbooks that A, reduce the cost of college for large numbers of students through a variety of cost-saving measures, and B, contain instructional content and ancillary instructional materials that align student learning objectives with the skills or knowledge required by a large number of students at a given institution or nationally, or in the case of a career and technical post-secondary program, meet industry standards or in-demand industry sectors or in-demand occupations. So as a reminder, reflecting back on what we just discussed in the previous slide, applicants are required to respond to absolute priority 1 by developing a consortium. Applicants should provide an exact outline of the proposed consortium partners listed in that absolute priority that you plan to partner with for the purpose of meeting it. And that includes 3 additional IHEs beyond the lead applicant and an advisory group of relevant employers, workforce stakeholders, and/or trade or professional associations. All right, so let's take a look at absolute priority 2. This is also required, and this is addressing gaps in the open textbook marketplace and bringing solutions to scale. To meet this priority, an applicant must identify the gaps in the open textbook marketplace in courses that are part of a degree granting program that it seeks to address and propose how to close such gaps. An applicant must propose a comprehensive plan to all components of this absolute priority A through F, and that includes A, Identify and assess existing open educational resources in the proposed subject area before creating new ones, such as by identifying any existing open textbooks that could potentially be used as models for the design of the project or ancillary learning resources that would support the development of courses that use open textbooks. B, focus on the creation and expansion of education and training materials that can be scaled within and beyond the participating consortium members to reach a broad range of students participating in high enrollment courses or preparing for in-demand industry sectors or in-demand occupations. C, create and disseminate protocols to review any open textbooks created or adapted through the project for accuracy, rigor, and accessibility for students with disabilities. D, disseminate information about the results of the project to other IHEs, including promoting the adoption of any open textbooks created or adapted through the project, or adopting open standard protocols and processes that support the interoperability for any digital assets created. E, include professional development to build capacity of faculty, instructors, and other staff to adapt and use open textbooks. And F, describe the courses for which open textbooks and ancillary materials are being developed. And absolute priority 3 is also required, and this is promoting student success. To meet this priority, an applicant must propose to build upon existing open textbook materials and or develop new open textbooks for high enrollment courses or high enrollment programs in order to achieve the highest level of savings for students. Additionally, this priority requires the applicant to include plans for A through D, all 4 of them. And that is A, promoting and tracking the use of open textbooks in post-secondary courses across participating members of the consortium, including an estimate of the projected direct cost savings for students, which will be reported during the annual performance review. And to kind of expand upon that as well, applicants should include that direct cost savings, both the average cost saving per student and the total cost savings over the 4 years in their abstract and project narrative. B, monitoring the impact of open textbooks on instruction, learning outcomes, course outcomes, and educational costs. C, investigating and disseminating evidence-based practices associated with using open textbooks that improve student outcomes. And D, updating the courses beyond the funded period. High enrollment courses means courses that are required for a degree granting program offered by an eligible IHE that either have a total student enrollment within the top third of courses at the lead institution if applicable, or at one or more of the consortia partner institutions, in the state or nationally as compared to other academic or career and technical education courses. Whereas high enrollment program means a program that yields a post-secondary degree that either has total student enrollments within the top third of programs at either the lead institution, in the state, or nationally as compared to other academic or career and technical education programs. Note applicants should explain how open materials will improve success in courses that matter for degree progress, persistence in programs of study, and preparation for in-demand fields. All right, so let's take a look at our first competitive preference priority, advancing artificial intelligence in education. And this is an optional priority for applicants to respond to, and you can receive up to 10 points. For FY26 and any subsequent year in which we make awards from the list of unfunded applications from this competition, this is a competitive preference priority, and we may award an application up to 10 additional points under this competitive preference priority. ED will not review or award points where an applicant fails to clearly identify the competitive preference priority that it wishes ED to consider for the purposes of awarding competitive preference priority points. Please note that in this priority, artificial intelligence or AI has the meaning set forth in 15 U.S. Code 94013. And this priority is projects or proposals that expand the appropriate and ethical use of AI technology in education through one or more of the following. Number 1, integrate AI-driven tools into classrooms to personalize learning, improve student outcomes, and to support differentiated instruction. This integration may include, but is not limited to, adaptive learning technologies, virtual teaching assistants, tutoring, and data analytics tools to support student progress. And or number 2, use AI technology to provide high-quality instructional resources, high-impact tutoring, college and career pathway exploration, advising, and navigation to improve educational outcomes. To adequately respond to CPP1, applicants may include a narrative of no more than 3 additional pages. Applicants should upload this document to the Other Attachments form. Successful applicants will define the AI competencies students will gain, describe responsible and ethical AI use, and explain how AI-assisted content will be reviewed for accuracy, as well as measure AI literacy outcomes, not just AI tool usage. So what does AI literacy mean when it comes to open course materials? Applicants using AI should identify the AI competencies students, faculty, or staff will gain. And some examples of AI literacy competencies include an understanding of basic AI concepts and limitations, using AI tools responsibly in academic and occupational settings, evaluating AI-generated information for accuracy, bias, and relevance, recognizing misinformation, disinformation, and fabricated citations, protecting privacy and sensitive information when using AI tools, applying human judgment, ethical reasoning, and critical thinking, using AI to support learning without replacing original student work, and as an application tip, measuring AI literacy outcomes, not just AI tool usage, and that could be part of your evaluation. Applicants should not simply say that AI will be used to create materials. They should explain what people will learn about AI and how those competencies fit the course or program. For example, a healthcare pathway could include evaluating AI-generated patient education materials, whereas a business course could include responsible AI use for data interpretation, whereas a writing course could include evaluating AI-generated sources and citations. If AI is not central to a project, the applicant should still explain whether AI is being used in content development and how quality will be controlled, such as translations. Applicants should also consider citing or aligning the DOL AI literacy framework when the project includes AI-related content, AI-assisted development, or AI literacy outcomes. OTP projects that include AI, as I just mentioned, should align with the U.S. Department of Labor's AI literacy framework. AI literacy should be treated as a workforce readiness skill, not simply a technology feature. Students should learn how to understand AI principles, explore AI uses, direct AI effectively, evaluate AI outputs, and use AI responsibly. Applicants should explain how AI literacy will be taught, practiced, assessed, and connected to in-demand fields. AI-supported materials, again, should include human review for accuracy, bias, accessibility, open license compliance, and workforce relevance. Applicants should identify whether the project builds AI literacy for students, faculty, staff, employers, or all of those audiences. An applicant should describe how the AI literacy will support learning, career readiness, and participation in an AI-enabled workplace. The DOL AI literacy framework should be used as a practical guide for applicants that includes AI-related content or AI-assisted development. The goal is not simply to say that AI was used. The goal is to show that students are building the ability to understand, use, evaluate, and responsibly apply AI in ways that support learning, career readiness, and participation in an AI-enabled workplace. The framework identifies 5 foundational content areas that help explain what students, faculty, or staff will actually learn and how that learning connects to workforce readiness. The framework also identifies delivery principles that are useful for OTP project design. For OTP, this means AI literacy should be presented as part of the learning strategy and workforce readiness strategy, not as a superficial technology reference. Applicants should connect AI literacy to the selected courses, degree programs, in-demand fields, instructional design, faculty training evaluation plan, and sustainability strategy. Let's briefly talk about and look at the DOL AI literacy framework in more depth. The Department of Labor, or DOL, issued the AI literacy framework to provide a common foundation to guide AI literacy efforts for workers, employers, training providers, teachers, and faculty, state and local education agencies, and other workforce and education system stakeholders. This framework identifies those foundational content areas and delivery principles that can inform program design while also allowing for flexibility and adaptation across industries, roles, and contexts. This framework builds on the Trump administration's broader commitment to ensuring American workers are prepared for an AI-driven economy. It directly supports DOL and ED's role in implementing the AI Action Plan and America's Talent Strategy, both of which identify AI literacy as a foundational priority to expand the workforce and education system. It also complements the Department of Education's guidance on the use of AI, including the July 2025 Dear Colleague Letter and the Secretary's supplemental grant-making priority on advancing AI in education to develop an AI-ready workforce. We mentioned in the previous slide that there are 5 foundational content areas of AI literacy. Number 1 is understand AI principles, and this is understanding AI's core concepts, capabilities, and limitations, creating the foundation for effective use. Number 2 is explore AI uses, which is directly exploring different AI tools and relevant use cases and how AI can complement human expertise. Number 3 is direct AI effectively, understanding how to provide the right context to AI and how to create clear prompts that produce effective outputs. Number 4 is evaluate AI inputs, assessing AI-generated results for accuracy, relevance, and understanding how to iterate on AI output. And number 5 is using AI responsibly, using AI in ethical and secure ways, protecting critical information, and ensuring accountability for outcomes. As we mentioned again on the previous slide, there are also effective delivery principles of AI literacy, and there are 7 of those. Number 1 is to enable experiential learning, delivering AI literacy through practical hands-on experiences that allow AI skills to be practiced in real-world situations. Number 2, embed learning into context, integrating into existing processes and in the context of the industry or characteristics that make it most actionable. Number 3 is to build complementary human skills, using AI to augment human skills such as judgment, creativity, communication, and problem solving. Address prerequisites to AI literacy, which is addressing barriers to participation and success with AI literacy, including digital learning and broadband access. Number 5 is to create pathways for continued learning, which is providing structured routes to progress to more advanced specialized AI skills and AI-related occupations. Number 6 is to prepare enabling roles, equipping managers, counselors, and others who play a supportive role to our participants' AI learning. And number 7, design for agility, ensuring there are proactive built-in mechanisms to rapidly update content and delivery as AI capabilities evolve. In addition to the DOL AI literacy framework, here are some resources to help you if you're responding to competitive preference priority 1. There is the U.S. Department of Labor press release on AI literacy framework. There is the DOL AI literacy framework, both the graphic and the framework itself. There is also DOL guidance on encouraging the use of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funding to help youth and adults develop AI skills, the administration's AI Action Plan, and then for stakeholders who are interested in participating in a training webinar about the AI literacy framework, can indicate their interest by emailing aiworkforce@dol.gov. All right, so let's take a look at our next competitive preference priority, number 2, returning education to the states. And again, this is also optional for 0 or 10 points. So you receive 0 points for not responding and 10 points for responding to this competitive preference priority. And again, this is a competitive preference priority in FY26, and you can be awarded 0 or 10 points under this priority. However, we will not review or award points where an applicant fails to clearly identify the competitive preference priority that it wishes Ed to consider for the purposes of awarding those competitive preference priority points. And this is projects or proposals that will be carried out by state higher education agencies. As a note, only one state higher education agency within each state may apply for CPP2, consistent with the adopted definition in 20 U.S. Code 100322 that a state higher education agency is the officer or agency primarily responsible for the state supervision of higher education. To adequately respond to the CPP, applicants should include a letter of attestation from a state higher education official in response to competitive preference priority 2. Applicants should upload this document to the other attachments form. Successful applicants will describe how the project aligns open materials, high enrollment courses, transfer pathway needs, and state workforce priorities. When looking at statewide and employer-aligned OER adoption, statewide or consortium projects should consider how open materials will scale beyond one course or campus. And you might consider the following: identifying state in-demand occupations or priority sectors, high enrollment courses shared across institutions, common course numbering, articulation, transfer, pathway alignment, employer or workforce board input into program relevance, faculty adoption strategy across campuses and sections, accessibility, interoperability, and open license strategy, student cost savings across institutions, and a sustainability plan for maintenance, updates, and continued adoption. This is especially useful for state higher education agencies, systems, and consortia. It reinforces that scale is not just about creating one textbook. It is about creating materials that can be adopted, adapted, and sustained across institutions in a state. The workforce alignment should be documented through state priorities, employer input, workforce board input, or labor market data where appropriate. Applicants should explain governance, such as who decides what is adopted, who updates materials, who trains faculty, and how institutions will continue using the materials after the federal grant. Applicants should also identify the academic and workforce rationale for the courses selected. A strong project explains which degree granting program or pathway uses the course materials, whether the course is a gateway, prerequisite, high enrollment, or high cost course, how the course affects student persistence, completion, or progression, which in-demand field, state priority, or regional workforce need is connected to the program, how employers, state workforce, or labor market data inform the project design, how open materials will be adopted beyond a single instructor or section, and how the project will sustain savings and content quality after the grant period. This helps applicants move from broad workforce language to evidence. Strong applications should use data such as enrollment numbers, current textbook costs, DFW rates, withdrawal rates, program completion data, and labor market evidence. It is encouraged that we encourage applicants to show why these materials in these courses for these students at these institutions will matter. So really focusing on the need for the project. Applicants should not overclaim employment outcomes if they cannot measure them. They can still describe pathway relevance and track interim measures such as course completion, persistence in the program, and progression to the next course. This helps you move from that broad workforce language to evidence, as I just mentioned. So it's really important to have concrete data. All right, so let's take a look at the selection criteria, which will help you guide your application and organize it effectively so that when it is reviewed by the peer reviewers, they will understand what you were proposing to achieve. All right, so the selection criteria for this competition are from 34 CFR 75.210. The maximum score for all the selection criteria is 100 points. The maximum score for each criterion is included in the parentheses following the title of the specific selection criterion. Each criterion also includes the factors that reviewers will consider in determining the extent to which an applicant meets the criterion. Points awarded under the competitive preference priorities are in addition to any points an applicant earns for all the selection criteria in this notice. The maximum score that an application may receive under the competitive preference priorities and the selection criteria is 120 points. An application may receive up to 10 additional points under the competitive preference priority 1, so that is the full breadth of 0 to 10 points. and may be awarded 0 or 10 points under competitive preference priority 2. So if you don't respond to CPP 2, that's 0 points, but if you do, that's the full 10 points. There's no in between there. ED will not review or award points where an applicant fails to identify the competitive preference priority that it wishes ED to consider for the purposes of awarding those points. The project narrative is where the applicant provides detailed responses to each selection criterion as the project pertains to each of the 3 absolute priorities, and if applicable, the responses to the competitive preference priorities. Applicants should respond to the selection criteria in the same order as presented in the ANI, the application notice and instructions. Applicants should clearly label each selection criterion and separately address each of the criterion for each proposed activity. Applicants are scored on 5 different areas in addition to those optional competitive preference points. As far as the selection criteria, we have those listed here as well as on the following slides and their associated point values and the maximum point value that you can receive. So for need for project, the maximum is 12 points. For quality of the project design, the maximum is 48 points. For adequacy of resources, the maximum is 12 points. For quality of the management plan, the maximum is 16 points. And for quality of the evaluation plan, the maximum is 12 points for a total maximum score of 100 points. Again, for competitive preference priority 1, you can receive up to 10 points. And for competitive preference priority 2, you can receive 0 or 10 points for a total possible score per application up to 120 points. Again, please respond to each criterion in the order presented in the application notice and instructions. Looking at that first selection criteria, need for project A, you can receive up to 12 points for this criterion. The Secretary considers the need for the proposed project, and in determining the need for the project, considers one or more of the following factors. Number 1, the data presented, including a comparison to local, state, regional, national, or international data that demonstrates the issue, challenge, or opportunity to be addressed by the proposed project, and that's worth up to 6 points. And we've kind of talked about that throughout this slide deck so far. And number 2, the extent to which the specific nature and magnitude of gaps or challenges are identified, and the extent to which these gaps or challenges will be addressed by the services, supports, infrastructure, or opportunities described in the project. And you can receive up to 6 points for that one, for a total maximum score for need for project of up to 12 points. Here's some project narrative tips for need for project. Identify and analyze those potential gaps and challenges and issues in the target area. Compare that data in the target area to similar data on a state, regional, national, or international level as it relates to the magnitude of need. Describe how the proposed project, services, supports, infrastructure, opportunities will address those identified gaps and challenges in that data. In order to really build a strong project statement, a need statement, it's important that projects document the following: current textbooks and course material costs, number of students affected each year, high enrollment courses or program sequences targeted, DFW rates, withdrawal rates, completion data or persistence data, gaps in available open materials or limitations of existing OER, accessibility, interoperability, or currency problems with current materials, workforce rationale for targeted programs where applicable, state or regional labor market evidence where applicable, and why grant funding is needed to develop, adopt, scale, and sustain in the open materials. And that why is the really important part of the need for project, because that is the reasoning behind your project. Applicants should be specific. So for example, commercial materials in the targeted course sequence currently cost students an average of X amount of dollars per course. The course enrolls X amount of students annually and are required for X programs connected to X high demand sectors. The average DFW rate is X%. Existing OER do not cover X content or are not accessible or interoperable. This needs statement should create the foundation for your project design, your evaluation plan, and your budget. And every major project activity should respond to a documented need that you have here. All right, the next criterion is our quality of project design. This criterion is worth up to 48 points, and there are 10 sub-criteria that you need to respond to. The Secretary considers the quality of the design of the project, and in determining that quality considers these 10 factors. Number 1, the extent to which the design of the project demonstrates meaningful community engagement and input to ensure that the project is appropriate to successfully address the needs of the target population or other identified needs and will be used to inform continuous improvement strategies, and that one's worth up to 4 points. Number 2 is the extent to which the goals, objectives, and outcomes to be achieved by the project are clearly specified, measurable, and ambitious, yet achievable within the project period and align with the purposes of the grant program. And you can receive up to 4 points for that one. Number 3, the extent to which the proposed project specifies or proposes specific measurable targets connected to your strategies, your activities, your resources, your outputs, and your outcomes, and uses reliable administrative data to measure progress and inform continuous improvement. And you can receive up to 4 points for number 3. Number 4 is the extent to which the project will integrate or build on ideas, strategies, and efforts from similar external projects to improve relevant outcomes using existing funding streams from other programs or policies supported by community, state, and federal resources. And you can receive up to 4 points for that one. And that one's important because it might connect to either a previous OTP project that you've been a part of and or some of your priorities in your state or region that has developed or worked on OER itself. Number 5 is the extent to which the training or professional development services to be provided by the project are of sufficient quality, intensity, and duration to build recipient and project capacity in ways that lead to improvements in practices among the recipients of those services. You can receive up to 4 points for that one. So not just giving the OER to the individuals to implement in the classroom, but making sure they're ready and willing and ready to implement it in the classroom. And number 6, the likelihood of those services to be provided by the project will lead to meaningful improvements in the achievement of students as measured against rigorous and relevant standards. And you receive up to 4 points for that one. So not just making sure the teachers are prepared and the faculty are prepared, but that it will lead to improvements in achievement for students. Number 7 is the likelihood that the services to be provided will lead to meaningful improvements in skills and competencies necessary to gain employment in high-quality jobs, careers, and industries, or build capacity for independent living, and can receive up to 4 points for that one. Number 8 is the extent to which services to be provided by the project involve the use of efficient strategies, including the use of technology, as we mentioned AI earlier, as appropriate, and the leveraging of non-project resources, and you can receive up to 4 points for that one. And finally, the final two, number 9, the applicant's capacity, such as qualified personnel, financial resources, or management capacity, together with any project partners, those required consortium partners specifically, to bring the proposed project effectively to scale on a national or regional level during the grant period, and can receive up to 10 points for that one. And number 10, the quality of the mechanisms that the applicant will use to broadly disseminate information and resources on its project to support further development, adaptation, or replication by other entities to implement project components in additional settings or with other populations. And you can receive up to 6 points for that one, for a total score of up to 48 points for the project design. Some project narrative tips. So discuss how the community was engaged to design the project, including relevant stakeholders and partners to address the needs of the target population. Again, identify those goals, objectives, and outcomes of the project and design activities and services that will directly address those identified gaps, challenges. Be realistic and straightforward about every aspect of the project design. Ensure those project activities and services are attainable, meaningful, and measurable. Discuss the potential of the project to build on similar or related efforts, as well as the potential to scale up the project. Determine those procedures for quality control and continuous improvement, and discuss that plan for dissemination to further support development, adaptation, and replication by other entities or in a variety of settings. And furthermore, it's important to also have the project connected not only to the training and professional development services and making sure those are of quality, but that it also leads to academic achievement as well as improvement in skills in those high need areas. Here's an example of an OTP workforce aligned model that might help you to guide your project design. So we mentioned a little bit about inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, in both short-term and long-term. So let's take a look at an example that could help you when you're developing your own project. As far as input, that might be faculty subject matter experts, instructional designers, it might be OER open licensing leads, accessibility specialists, AI tools or AI literacy expertise, institutional research staff, workforce data, employers or workforce partners, and an external evaluator. So really building that buy-in and the stakeholders, making sure everyone is involved in the development of the project. When everyone is involved and has had an input into ensuring that the project is appropriate to successfully address the needs of the target population, then that is where activities come into play. That is part of your project design. That might look like developing or adapting open textbooks, creating ancillary materials, embedding AI literacy where appropriate, redesign gateway courses, validating content, training faculty, publishing open materials, supporting adoption, and collecting evaluation data. Once you have those activities in place, you want to think about what you want to come out of those activities, those outputs. What does the end of the project look like? What does sustainability look like and dissemination? Outputs could include courses that have converted to open textbooks, the number of open textbooks that are published, ancillary materials created, faculty trained, the number of students served, the number of institutions that have adopted OER both within and outside the consortium, the number of materials that you revised or remixed, and accessibility checks completed, as well as perhaps the average cost savings for students and the long-term cost savings or total cost savings over the 4-year period. And you'll see that a little bit in the performance measures that we'll talk about in a few slides. In addition to those outputs, there are some outcomes. So what are we hoping to achieve? What are we hoping faculty and students to be able to achieve or take away from the project? Some of those short-term outcomes might be those lower student costs, improve access to course materials, increased faculty adoption, improved course completion, lower withdrawal or failure rates, AI literacy gains where applicable. Some of those longer term outcomes might be that program persistence. It might be credential or degree completion, stronger career pathways, workforce readiness, employment or earnings outcomes where available, and sustainable OER adoption after federal funding, particularly amongst the region and the state as well as a national level, as we've already seen in the OER space. All right, so let's take a look at the next selection criterion, adequacy of resources, and you can receive up to 12 points for this one. So when the Secretary considers adequacy of resources, they take a look at one or more of the following factors: the relevance and demonstrated commitment of each partner in the project to the implementation and success of the project, and you can receive up to 6 points for that one. So really those consortium partners are very important to the overall project and providing letters of commitment. And number 2, the potential for the purposes, activities, or benefits of the project to be institutionalized into the ongoing practices and programs of the applicant, agency, or organization and continue after federal funding ends. You can receive up to 6 points for that one, for a total score of adequacy of resources of up to 12 points. Here's some project narrative tips that could help you when developing adequacy of resources section. Clearly identify all partners, contractors, and subawardees in the project narrative and the budget narrative, specifically those consortium partners. Be very specific about the lead applicant and each partner's contribution to the project, perhaps that services, facilities, equipment, supplies, and other resources. So what are your 3 IHE partners providing? What are your workforce development or trade professional association working groups providing? Applicants must provide formal signed support or commitment letters from each partner, institution, or organization, so from each IHE and each employer or trade association. And those commitment letters should briefly discuss what services and resources partners will be contributing to the project. Please note that applicants should list each partner entity not only in the abstract, but include the letters of support in the other attachments form in grants.gov. All attachments must be uploaded as a PDF. And again, work towards sustainability of the overall project beyond the federal funding period. Some recommended project roles under adequacy of resources may also include that project director, principal investigator, some faculty subject matter leads, an instructional designer, perhaps an accessibility or universal design specialist, AI content or AI literacy lead if applicable, workforce or career pathways liaison if applicable, your institutional research office or a data lead if you have an external evaluator, perhaps it's a data analyst or evaluator. If it's your institutional research office, perhaps you're doing internal evaluation, which is totally fine. Dissemination and adoption coordinator, and a state system employer workforce partner representatives if applicable. And you can talk about that here in the adequacy of resources section, or in your project design section under number 9, or in your quality of management plan, or all three. It's important just to make sure that it is talked about in great detail on how each individual will be supporting the project. The next criterion is quality of the management plan, and this is worth up to 16 points. The Secretary considers the quality of the management plan by considering one or more of the following factors: the feasibility of the management plan to achieve the project objectives and goals on time and within budget, including clearly defined responsibilities, timelines, and milestones for accomplishing project tasks, and you can receive up to 8 points for that one. And the adequacy of mechanisms for ensuring high quality and accessible products and services from the proposed project for the target population. And you can receive up to 8 points for that one, for a total score for the management plan of up to 16 points. Some tips for your project management plan. You want to forecast and create an implementation and management plan that is realistic. Dedicate adequate resources and time to the project components, including clearly defining those roles and responsibilities of the key personnel, as well as pertinent project personnel at your subaward or partner agencies. Carefully estimate the budget and ensure that all costs are allowable, allocable, and reasonable. We do not determine the time and effort of key personnel. However, you should set the percentage based on what you deem appropriate and explain why. And this should be well explained in your management plan and budget, as well as your design and perhaps the adequacy of resources section. Provide CVs for all project personnel at the lead applicant institution or organization, as well as any pertinent project personnel at your subaward or partner entities. If an individual has not been hired, you may want to upload a job description. And the final criterion under this competition is quality of the evaluation plan. And this is worth up to 12 points. So when the Secretary considers that quality of the evaluation or evidence building, they consider one or more of the following factors: the extent to which the methods of evaluation or other evidence building are thorough, feasible, relevant, and appropriate to the goals, objectives, and outcomes of the project, which is worth up to 6 points. And number 2, the extent to which the evaluation employs an appropriate analytic strategy to build evidence about the relationship between key project components, mediators, and outcomes, and inform decisions on which project components to continue, revise, or discontinue. And that's worth up to 6 points for a total score for evaluation plan of up to 12 points. Here's some project narrative tips for the quality of the evaluation plan. A strong evaluation plan should be included in the application narrative and should be used as appropriate to shape the development and implementation of the project from the beginning of the grant to the end. This should include benchmarks to monitor progress towards specific project objectives and outcome measures to assess the impact of the grant-funded activities. More specifically, the plan should respond to the factors listed in the evaluation section of the selection criterion. In addition to those benchmarks, those targets, it's also important to have baseline data. Perhaps you want to set a baseline data amount prior to starting the project. Perhaps you set that in your first year. Perhaps you want to set annual targets. Perhaps you also want to set a full 4-year target. You also want to identify project-specific measures to build the project evaluation assessments. Choose metrics and evaluations methods that align to the goals, objectives, and outcomes of the project, and that will produce evidence about the project's effectiveness. Discuss the potential for replication of the project and implementation in other settings. And you also, as I mentioned earlier, can work with an internal or external evaluator. You should select one that works best based on your project needs and evaluation design. Excuse me. As you're developing your evaluation plan, it's also important to consider some other components of your data. As you're developing that, consider what kind of data you're going to collect, how you're going to collect that, how often you're going to collect it. Is it going to be qualitative or quantitative? Are you going to develop when and how are you going to develop those baseline data measures? When and how are you going to measure those targets annually or over the 4-year period? And I know a lot of these targets with the OTP program are final performance targets. Not only that, but how are you going to analyze the data that you collected? So you've collected your data on a specific time frame. How are you going to analyze that? What does that look like? What is it telling you as far as, are you achieving your project goals? Are you meeting your objectives? Or do you need to make improvements to your overall project or evaluation plan to better support the needs of the students? So thinking about all that in the context of your project, thinking also about the continuous improvement and sustainability of the project. Avoid these common weaknesses when you're developing your evaluation plan. Naming DOL alignment without designing the project around it, describing AI tools without explaining human review, accuracy checks, accessibility, bias review, or licensing compliance, claiming workforce alignment without identifying the program, pathway, labor market need, or state priority, choosing courses that do not have enough enrollment or adoption potential to generate meaningful savings, failing to explain how the materials will be adopted beyond one instructor or one section, not documenting current textbook costs or the cost savings methodology, as I mentioned earlier, really telling us how you are getting that data, listing performance measures without explaining how that data will be collected or how it will be analyzed, budgeting technology or staffing that is not clearly tied to project activities, open deliverables, adoption, evaluation, or sustainability, and treating accessibility, interoperability, and open licensing as afterthoughts. All right, since we've talked about evaluation, let's jump into the 10 required performance measures under the Open Textbooks program. It is important to note that these are required measures for an applicant to respond to, not only to measure, but also to evaluate and include in your evaluation plan, all 10 of them. That's not to say you might not also have some project-specific components, but you do have to at least respond to these 10 program performance measures. These were developed for the purposes of reporting to ED under 34 CFR 75.110, and they indicate how you will evaluate the over effectiveness of your program. And they also measure the indicators of success of your overall project. So we advise you to carefully consider these measures in conceptualizing your approach to your overall project and your design and how you're evaluating the success of your project. You'll have to collect this data and report it annually in your project's annual performance reports. So that's why it's important to establish that baseline data and develop targets. Here are the first 4 of 10 program performance measures that are required. So number 1 is the number of students who enrolled in courses that use open textbooks and ancillary materials developed through the grant. Number 2 is the number of students who completed courses that use open textbooks and our ancillary materials developed through the grant. Number 3 is that failure or withdrawal rate in courses that use open textbooks or ancillary materials compared with the equivalent commercial textbooks. Number 4 is the average grade of students who developed a course, who completed a course that used open textbooks or ancillary materials developed through the grant in comparison to commercial textbooks. Number 5 is the number of faculty and instructors that use open textbooks or ancillary materials developed through the grant. Number 6 is the number of institutions within that consortium and the number outside if you have additional outside that 3 required that adopted the open textbooks and or ancillary materials developed through the grant. Number 7 is the number of courses among consortium members that adopted open textbooks and or ancillary materials compared to commercial textbooks. Number 8 is the number of faculty or instructors or institutions that use tools for revising and remixing OER content to facilitate adoption of open textbooks or ancillary materials. Number 9 is the average cost savings per student. And number 10 is that total cost savings for students who use open textbooks or ancillary materials developed through the grant. Those final two are very important because you do have to include those in your abstract, because those are part of our tiebreakers. So one of our tiebreakers is the total cost, the highest total cost savings and the highest average cost savings per student. So it's important to make sure that you include that not only in your evaluation plan, but your abstract. Applicants should design backwards from these measures. The evaluation plan should include baseline, targets, data sources, collection schedule, and responsibility for each measure. And as we mentioned previously in one of our selection criterion, making sure that you're using quality administrative data. So making sure you know where to find that data and that it's appropriate to measure the success of your project. All right, so we've talked a lot today about the overall competition and the components of that competition and how to design your project narrative and the components of your overall application. So now we're going to take a look at navigating grants.gov in the application checklist, which will show you all the required standard forms of this application package. To obtain instructions for standard forms included in this package, you can visit our website here, and that will give you all of the forms, not only in a PDF form, but it'll also give you the instructions associated with those forms to help support you as you begin to fill out the different forms required for your grants.gov application. Before we jump into that checklist, I wanted to just provide a brief overview of what the grants.gov homepage looks like so that you have an idea of where you're navigating. This is the grants.gov homepage. So as you go to click to grants.gov homepage, you'll go to search for grants. When you go to search for that funding opportunity, that grant opportunity, this is the screen that will pop up. And as you'll see the arrow pointing here, that's where you'll go and enter either the name of the program or that Ed funding opportunity number that is listed in this technical assistance webinar. Once you enter it, so for this one, it's ed-grant-26-035 and click search, you'll see that open textbooks pops up right here below. It's the first opportunity on the screen. When you go to click that hyperlink, Open Textbooks Pilot Program, it'll pull up a new grant opportunity page, and this is what it will look like. This is a synopsis or overview of the Open Textbooks Pilot Program competition and funding opportunity. It's important that when you navigate to this page that you click the View on Grants.gov link here on the bottom right with the arrow pointing to it, because that will take you to the overall application package and opportunities so that you can begin filling out your application. When you click on that, this is the screen that you will see. This will provide you an overall synopsis of the grant opportunity for the Ed Grant-26-035 Open Textbooks Program. Although the synopsis is very important to provide you an overview of the opening and closing date and funding opportunity as well as eligibility, it's really important to navigate not only to the related documents tab, which I have an arrow pointing here to that, because that is where you'll have the official application notice and instructions, as well as the package. The package is the important tab for you to begin navigating to, because that is where all the standard forms are listed for you to begin filling out and completing. And here's that application checklist. So that is the application package I just mentioned on the previous slide. Here are all the parts of that package that you need to fill out. So this will include number 1, the standard documents. So you'll fill out the application for federal assistance, the SF-424, as well as Department of Education supplemental information for the SF-424. You'll also fill out that number 2 part of your application checklist, that budget information. This is the budget information for non-construction programs forms SF-424A. Number 3 of your application checklist is your abstract form, and you'll attach that to the abstract form in grants.gov as a PDF. Number 4 is your project narrative, and you'll attach that to the project narrative attachment form in grants.gov as a PDF. You'll also provide your budget narrative. So whereas number 2 is an overview of the numbers of your budget for all 4 years, your budget narrative provides more detail about each of those areas. and you'll attach that to the budget narrative attachment form in grants.gov. And the next part, number 6 of your application checklist, is all those other attachment forms that I've mentioned throughout this webinar. So the CPP1 narrative, which should be no more than 3 pages, in addition to the program narrative, project narrative of 65 pages. CPP2 should be that letter of attestation from a state higher education agency official. Again, you want to upload the curriculum vitae or CV for all of the individuals and personnel on your project, both at the lead applicant organization and your partner organizations. You also are required to upload those letters of support from all members of the consortium and other partners. If you referenced any citations throughout your project narrative, perhaps you want to provide a bibliography. And then again, if you are a nonprofit applying for this competition, you do have to provide proof of nonprofit status to meet those eligibility requirements. And you can include all of this as a PDF in the other attachments form. The final part of your application checklist is those assurances and certifications. So your disclosure of lobbying activities and the grants.gov lobbying form. All right, so we're going to take a look at each of these individual parts of your application checklist. In addition, I mentioned there are instructions on the previous few slides, which have a link to go to the ed website, to look at the instructions for each individual form. However, I've also outlined them here. They're also in the application notice and instructions on grants.gov. So that first part, as I mentioned, is those standard documents, the application for federal assistance, SF424, as well as Department of Education supplemental information for the SF424. This form requires basic identifying information about the applicant and the application. Please provide all requested applicant information on this form, including your name, your address, email address, and unique entity identifier, UEI, which we'll talk about in a few slides. When applying electronically via grants.gov, you will need to ensure that the UEI on your application is the same as the UEI your organization used when it registered for that System for Award Management, or SAM. Applicants are advised to complete the application for federal assistance form SF424 first. Grants.gov will automatically insert the correct assistance listing number, which is 84.116T, and program name Open Textbooks Pilot Program automatically wherever needed on other forms. Please do not attach any narratives, supporting files, or application components to the standard form SF424. Although this form accepts attachments, ED will only review materials or files attached in accordance with the instructions provided in the application. The second part of the application checklist that I mentioned is the budget information for non-construction programs, the SF424A. The SF424A has 6 sections, lettered A through F. While the form does include several sections and boxes, please use the information below to complete only the necessary sections. This is also outlined in the application notice and instructions. Section A of this form is the budget summary. Section A budget summary allows you to enter the name of the grant program for which you are requesting funds in 1A. In 1B, you will enter the assistance listing number 84.116T. In 1E of Section A, that is the federal section, you'll include the total amount requested for the entire performance period. The amount you enter will auto-populate in 5E. In 1F, which is the non-federal section, only include an amount in this section if you propose to include non-federal financial resources as part of the project. And as a reminder, there are no cost sharing or matching requirements under this program. However, you can voluntarily propose matching or cost sharing non-federal funds. If you're not including any non-federal financial resources, you can leave this blank or include 0. In 1G, if using grants.gov, the total amount included here will be auto-populated or auto-calculated based on what is included in 1E and 1F, the federal and non-federal section. In Section B of this form, this is the budget categories, also known as the object class categories. And these are listed here as letter A through K. They're the categories you will need to further describe in your budget narrative as well. So in addition to completing it in this budget form SF424A, you also have to include it in the budget narrative. You will provide a breakdown by category for each year of the project in that budget narrative. If you're using grants.gov, line 6, column 1 will be auto-populated with the name of the program, Open Textbooks Pilot Program, for which you are requesting funding. In this section, section B, there are a few line items that you'll have to fill out that you'll further explain in that budget narrative. The first line, personnel, line 6A, enter project personnel salaries and wages only. Include fees and expenses for consultants on line 6F or 6H. Line 6B is fringe benefits. The organization's normal fringe benefits contribution may be charged to the program. Leave this line blank if fringe benefits applicable to direct salaries and wages are treated as part of the indirect cost. Line 6C is travel. Indicate the travel costs of employees and participants only. Include travel of persons such as consultants on line 6F or 6H. Equipment is line 6D. Indicate the cost of tangible, non-expendable personal property that has a usefulness greater than 1 year and acquisition costs that are lesser of the capitalization level established by the applicant entity for financial statement purposes of $10,000 per unit. Lower limits may be established to maintain consistency with your policy as the applicant. Line 6E is the supplies line item. Please show all tangible, expendable personal property. Direct supplies and materials differ from equipment in that they are consumable, expendable, and of a relatively low unit cost. Supplies purchased with grant funds should directly benefit the grant project and be necessary for achieving the goals of the project. The other line items under section B include line 6F, which is the contractual line item, and perhaps this is where you'll include any of your subawardees. The contractual category should include all costs specifically incurred with actions that the applicant takes in conjunction with an established internal procurement system. Include consultant fees, expenses, and travel costs in this category. Line 6G are construction costs, and construction costs are not authorized under this program, so you'll leave this blank. Line 6H is the other category. Indicate all direct costs not covered on lines 1 through 6. For example, include costs such as space rental, required fees, honoraria, and travel where a contract is not in place for services, training, and communication and printing costs. If applicable, include stipends under other. If stipends are included under other, do not include stipends when calculating the indirect costs. Do not include costs that are included in the indirect cost rate. Line 6I are your total direct costs. So the sum of lines 6A through 6H is what will go here. And this will be auto-calculated if you use grants.gov. Line 6J is the indirect costs. Here you will indicate the applicant's approved indirect cost rate. If you do not have an approved indirect cost rate agreement with a cognizant federal agency, you may apply to ED for a temporary indirect cost rate if you wish to charge indirect costs to the grant. For more information, you can go to our website linked here. In addition, if you're eligible, you may also use the 15% de minimis rate as provided for under 2 CFR 200-414F. Line 6I and 6J will provide that total cost. So the total direct cost from line 6A through 6H and the indirect costs. The number should equal to the sum of line 6I through 6J. If you're using grants.gov, this number is auto-calculated. The sum for this for column 1 is labeled as project year 6, should also equal to the item 15A on the application cover sheet of the SF form 424. Line 7 is program income, and you can leave this field blank. Section 6 of this form is non-federal resources. Again, there are no cost share or matching requirements under this program. However, if you voluntarily propose cost share or matching non-federal funds, then you would include that breakdown here. And this could come from either you as the lead applicant, your proposed consortium partners for the purposes of meeting the priorities, the state, and other sources as applicable. Section D is the forecasted cash needs. Line 13 of Section D is the federal section. The total for first year column will automatically calculate based on the funding amounts included in quarters 1 through 4. These quarters apply to year 1 only. Enter the forecasted cash needs from federal sources for each quarter of the first program year. The amount entered for each quarter will be used to auto-calculate the amount in line 15 and is your forecasted cash needs. You'll have an opportunity to make updates to these quarterly amounts in post-award if awarded. Line 14 is that non-federal forecasted cash needs. So if you're proposing voluntary cost matching or cost sharing or matching requirements, the total for the first year column will automatically calculate based on the funding amounts included in quarters 1 through 4. These quarters, again, apply to year 1 only. Leave this blank for each quarter if you are not including any non-federal funds. If including non-federal funds, enter the forecasted cash needs from non-federal sources for the first quarter of the first program year. Otherwise, leave blank. And line 15 will sum up lines 13 and 14. If you're using grants.gov, it'll be auto-calculated. Section E of this form are the budget estimates of federal funds needed for balance of the project. This section collects information for future funding periods beyond year 1. While the columns are labeled first B through 4th E, this is the section where you will include the total amount of federal funds requested for years 2 through 4 for 4-year projects, which OTP is a 4-year project. You're only including the total amount of federal funds requested beyond the out years of beyond year 1. The total amount in Section D, line 13, plus the total amount in the out years should match the project total requested in Section A, line 5E. In Section E, line 16, column A, is the grant program. If you're using grants.gov, this box will be auto-populated with the name of the program you included in Section A, line 1. Line 16, column B, is your first year or the second out year of the project. Include the total amount requested for that first out year, which is year 2. Ensure this amount matches what is in your budget narrative. In line 16, column C, include the total amount requested for the second out year, which is year 3 of the project. Ensure again that this matches your budget narrative. In line 16, column D, include the total amount requested for that third out year or year 4 of the project. And again, ensure this matches what is in your budget narrative. Section F of this form is other budget information. In line 21, which is direct charges, you can leave this field blank. In line 22, in direct charges, enter the type of indirect cost rate you are applying for, which is provisional, predetermined, final, or fixed, or the 15% de minimis rate that will be in effect during the funding period, as well as the estimated amount of the base to which the rate is applied and the total indirect expense. It is also recommended that you upload your indirect cost agreement if you have a negotiated rate through to the other attachments form. Line 23, which is remarks, can be left blank. As far as budget and sustainability guardrails, a strong OTP budget should show that every major cost is necessary for the project, reasonable for the scope of work, allocable to grant activities, connected to project objectives and performance measures, connected to open deliverables, adoption, accessibility, evaluation, or dissemination, sustainable after federal funding ends, and have information related to AI tools, technology, instructional design, accessibility review, and content development, which should justify their role in producing high-quality open materials and measurable student outcomes. Applicants should distinguish one-time development costs from those recurring costs that must be sustained after the grant period. And that is where your budget narrative is very helpful to give us more detail on those one-time development costs versus the recurring costs, as well as every aspect of your budget, and whether those budget items are necessary, reasonable, and allocable. The next part of your application checklist is your abstract. The abstract should serve as a quick reference guide to your application. Include the items below in the order listed and use the same number format to complete the information accurately. You will need to provide the following details in a one-page format, and that could be single-spaced. The first part is the lead applicant institution. So name the institution or organization that is the lead applicant. Please also list your proposed consortium partners that you plan to partner with for the purposes of meeting absolute priority 1, including the 3 additional IHEs beyond the lead applicant and an advisory group of relevant employers, workforce stakeholders, and/or trade or professional associations. Beyond the consortium, you can also list additional partners and subawardees here. Please also provide the title of your project. Please identify the absolute priorities addressed by number, such as absolute priority 1, and briefly describe how it is addressed. And if applicable, identify if you're responding to the competitive preference priorities and if you included the required letter of attestation from a state higher education agency official in response to CPP2. Please also define your target population, outline the activities proposed in the project, describe the anticipated results such as learning outcomes. Please also include your projected average cost savings per student, as well as your projected total cost savings for students to be achieved during the 48-month performance period. And again, this is important for that tiebreaker section of the application. The next part of your application checklist is the meat of your project, the project narrative. This should be attached as a single document to the project narrative attachment form in accordance with the instructions found on grants.gov and should be organized in the following manner and include the following parts in order to expedite the review process. Ensure that you only attach the ED-approved file types detailed in the 2025 Common Instructions. When attaching files, applicants should limit the size of their file names. The first part of your project narrative is that table of contents, and that shows where and how the important sections of your proposal are organized and should not exceed 1 double-spaced page. This will help reviewers find the content that they are looking for when evaluating the selection criterion. The application narrative, again, the meat of your overall project, is the next part of the project narrative. We encourage you to limit this section of the application narrative to the equivalent of no more than 65 pages. However, the recommended page limit does not apply to the cover sheet, the budget section, including the budget narrative justification, the assurances and certifications, or the 1-page abstract, as well as the resumes, bibliography, or letters of support. However, the recommended page limit does apply to the project narrative. Please note applicants should provide an exact outline of the proposed consortium partners that you plan to partner with for the purpose of meeting absolute priority 1. Including 3 additional IHEs beyond the lead applicant and that advisory group we mentioned earlier. As far as the budget narrative, that is the next part of your application checklist, and this should align exactly to your SF424A. This section should be attached as a single document to the budget narrative attachment form in accordance with the instructions found in grants.gov. It should be organized in the following manner and include the following parts in order to expedite the review process, and I have that listed on the next slide. Ensure you attach the ED-approved file types detailed in the 2025 Common Instructions. Each application must include a budget narrative for the requested federal funds. The budget narrative for requested federal funds should provide a justification of how the money requested for each budget item will be spent, and the total amounts for each project year should match the total amounts in that Section E budget estimates of federal funds needed for balance of the project in the SF424A. This section requires an itemized budget breakdown for each project year and the basis for estimating the cost of personnel salaries, benefits, project staff travel, materials and supplies, consultants and subcontracts, indirect costs, and any other projected expenditures. Be sure to complete an itemized budget breakdown and narrative for each year of the proposed project. Below is a breakdown of those categories that you should include in your budget narrative. Number 1 is the personnel, so list all staff positions by title, including roles and responsibilities. For each position, give the annual salary, the percentage of time devoted to the project, and the amount of each person's salary funded by the grant. The next section is fringe benefits. The institution's normal fringe benefits contribution may be charged to the program. Leave this blank if fringe benefits applicable to direct salaries and wages are treated as part of the indirect costs. The next section is travel. For grantee staff only, specify the purpose, number of staff traveling, mileage, per diem, estimated number of in-state and out-of-state trips, and other estimated costs for each type of travel. The next section is equipment. Identify each item of equipment you expect to purchase that has an estimated acquisition cost of $10,000 or more per unit, and list the item, quantity, and the unit cost per item. The next part of your budget narrative is supplies. Identify the cost of supplies, whether that is general office supplies, desks or chairs, laptops or printers, or other specialty items in the detailed budget category. Except for general office supplies, list the item, quantity, and unit cost per item. And remember that supplies include all tangible personal property other than equipment, so those items with a unit cost of less than $10,000. The next section is a contractual line item where you might put your partners or subawardees, especially your consortium partners. The contractual category should include all costs specifically incurred with the actions that the applicant takes in conjunction with an established internal procurement system. This may include consultant fees, expenses, and travel costs in this category if the consultant services are obtained through a written binding agreement or contract. Construction funds are not authorized, so you won't include this in your narrative. The other section will include all direct costs that are not covered elsewhere, such as space rental, required fees, honoraria, and travel. You may also include stipends or incentives. The next section of your budget narrative should be your indirect costs. Remember, this program does use an unrestricted indirect cost rate, and you can find more information on our indirect cost division. Email our indirect cost division at indirectcostdivision@ed.gov. And you can have several different types of rates. That might be a negotiated rate, it might be a de minimis rate, or you don't have to use indirect costs if you don't want to. Here are some helpful reference regulations for indirect costs, not only in the 2 CFR 200 uniform guidance, but in our EDGAR principles. The final part of your budget narrative is the total cost, and this number should be total direct costs plus indirect costs. And for your budget narrative, you should have a budget narrative for all 4 years of the project. So you should follow this process listed on these slides for all 4 years. The budget narrative proposes an opportunity for the applicant to identify the nature and amount of the proposed expenditures. You should provide sufficient detail to enable reviewers and ED staff to understand how requested funds will be used, how much will be expended, and the relationship between the requested funds and project activities and outcomes. ED staff will perform a cost analysis of each recommended project to ensure that the costs relate to the activities and objectives and are reasonable, allowable, and allocable. We may delete or reduce costs from the budget during this review. Applicants are encouraged to review the cost principles described in 2 CFR Part 200 Subpart E for allowable and unallowable activities. However, you can also contact us at otp@ed.gov for questions on allowable costs. The next part of your application checklist are those other attachments forms. Again, with the CPP1 narrative, you would provide no more than 3 pages. For CPP2, you need to provide a letter of attestation from the State Higher Education Agency official. You also need to provide curriculum vitae or CV for all personnel on the project, both at the lead applicant organization and partner organizations. It is recommended that CVs be no more than 3 pages each. If you cited any articles or any references within your overall project narrative, perhaps you want to include a bibliography. Furthermore, you need to provide letters of support from all members of the consortium and other partners, particularly those consortium partners and subgrantees. And as a reminder, subgrantees are allowable under this competition. You may award subgrants directly to those subawardees to carry out project activities to eligible entities. So the eligible entities that you award subgrants to must be either an IHE or a public and private nonprofit institution and agency, including a state higher education agencies. Subgrantees do not need to be the same entity as the lead applicant. However, a subgrantee must meet the eligibility requirements for this competition, meaning a lead applicant can only provide subgrants to those types of entities I just mentioned. If a subgrantee is a nonprofit organization, they must demonstrate its nonprofit status according to the requirements and the eligibility criteria that we talked about early on. Furthermore, in those letters of support, applicants must clearly identify all contractors and subawardees in the project narrative and the budget narrative. This justification should include services to be performed and products to be provided, along with the corresponding costs. So in addition to the budget narrative for the lead applicant, you must also provide a separate budget narrative for each subawardee and or partner. And then you would list the cost related to each subawardee in the contractual line item of the SF424A. Applicants must provide formal signed support or commitment letters from each institution or organization, as I mentioned, and those commitment letters should briefly describe what services and resources partners will be contributing to the project. Applicants should include these attachments in the other attachments form and upload them as a PDF. As I just mentioned, please include the cost for each subawardee and or partner in the contractual line item of the lead applicant's budget information for non-construction programs, Form SF424A, and then provide a specific detailed budget narrative separately for each subawardee and or partner. Again, this must be separate and detailed for each year of the project period, just like the lead applicant. When it comes to subawardees, they can also charge indirect costs depending on their rate, if it's a negotiated rate or the de minimis rate. However, they must comply with the administrative requirements of the award, including indirect cost limitations if applicable, which is outlined in 2 CFR 200-332 requirements for pass-through entities. You as the lead applicant are considered a pass-through entity. So it is your responsibility as the pass-through entity to monitor your subawardee. Similar to how the Department of Education and Department of Labor will monitor you as the applicant and grantee, you must therefore also monitor those subawardees. Again, the other part of that other attachments form is the proof of nonprofit status to meet the eligibility requirements. As a reminder, nonprofit lead applicants, subawardees, and partners must provide proof of nonprofit status as outlined below. And the final part of your application checklist is those assurances and certifications, which is the disclosure of lobbying activities, that standard form LLL, and the grants.gov lobbying form. Be certain to complete all required assurances and certifications and include all required information in the appropriate place on each form. While it's required to submit the lobbying form that best meets an applicant's situation, the two forms are classified as optional in grants.gov to avoid submission errors when applying, when only submitting one lobbying form. So you must respond to either the disclosure of lobbying activities or the grants.gov lobbying form, depending on which form meets your situation best. All right, so let's talk about some brief submission information for your application. Applicants are required, as we've mentioned, to follow those common instructions for applicants to Department of Education discretionary grant programs that was published in the Federal Register on August 29, 2025, and this contains requirements and information on how to submit an application. You must first register in two systems, SAM.gov and grants.gov. If you're already registered, make sure your registration is active and up to date. Grants.gov registration involves several steps, including registration on SAM.gov. You may begin working on your application while completing the registration process, but you cannot apply until all registration steps are complete. Once your SAM registration is active, it will take 24 to 48 hours for the information to be available in grants.gov and before you can apply through grants.gov. For detailed information on the registration steps, please go to grants.gov applicant registration. Please note that your organization will need to update its SAM registration annually. I highly recommend that applicants take that first step of applying on both systems because it does take quite some time for your UEI to get established and can take up to several weeks. So as a first step, applying on SAM.gov to get a UEI number if you haven't already, and then applying through grants.gov, registering through grants.gov so you can begin working on your application. Here's a screenshot of what that looks like as far as the two systems. SAM.gov. In SAM.gov, you must have an active account with SAM.gov. This includes having a unique entity identifier, as I mentioned towards the beginning of this webinar, or UEI, and SAM.gov registration does take several weeks. So again, please begin that process as early as possible. Click on the entity registration checklist once you navigate to SAM.gov and click on Get Started. And this will give you any information you need to register in SAM.gov. If you need any help, you can also call their number there or live chat with the Federal Service Desk. Again, this should be your first step if you don't already have a UEI number or you need to update your UEI number. The next step is the grants.gov system. So you must also have an active account with grants.gov. To register, go to grants.gov and click register. When ready, click on Get Registered Now and complete the required fields. For more information or assistance, click on Applicant Registration page. As far as more application submission information to help you and getting that submitted as early as possible, we recommend strongly that you don't wait until the last day to submit your application just in case there are errors or issues with grants.gov, because you want to make sure that your application has been validated. Grants.gov will provide you a date, time stamp on your application and then process it after it's fully uploaded. If grants.gov rejects your application, you will need to resubmit successfully to grants.gov before 11:59 p.m. Eastern on the deadline date of June 23rd. You must provide the UEI on your application that was used when you registered an authorized organization representative on grants.gov. The UEI is assigned to your organization in SAM.gov at the time your organization registers in SAM.gov. If you do not enter the UEI assigned by SAM.gov on your application, grants.gov will reject your application. A grants.gov applicant must apply online using Workspace, which is a shared environment in grants.gov where members of a grant team may simultaneously access and edit different web forms within an application. You may begin creating an individual workspace for each application and establish for that application a collaborative application package that allows more than one person in your organization to work concurrently on an application. You will then complete the application forms in Workspace and submit the application when completed. For further instructions on how to apply using grants.gov, refer to the grants.gov website listed here. As I mentioned, you also want to verify submission. It's very important to verify that grants.gov received your application on time and that it was validated successfully. To see the date and time your application was received, log into grants.gov and click on Track My Application link. For a successful submission, the date time received should be earlier than 11:59 p.m. Eastern on the deadline date of June 23rd, and the application status should be validated, received by the agency, and agency tracking number assigned. If the date and time received is later than 11:59 p.m. Eastern on the deadline date of June 23rd, your application is late and will not be reviewed. If your application has a status of received, it is still waiting a validation by grants.gov. Once your validation is complete, the status will either change to validated or rejected with errors. And again, if it's rejected with errors, that means your application has not been received successfully. Some of the reasons grants.gov may reject an application can be found here at this link. So it's very important, if it doesn't say validation complete, that you check this link here to determine why it was rejected with errors. And if it was rejected with errors, try to resubmit your application so you get that validated application status. If you have submission problems, for more detailed information on troubleshooting some of those Adobe errors, you can review the Adobe Reader software tip sheet here, which is linked on this slide. If you discover your application is late or has been rejected, please see those instructions. Note you will receive a series of confirmations, both online and via email, about the status of your application. Please do not rely solely on email to confirm whether your application has been received timely and validated successfully. If you have problems submitting to grants.gov before the closing date, please contact grants.gov customer support at 1-800-518-4726 or email support@grants.gov or access the grants.gov self-service knowledge web-based portal. All right, so if you've submitted your application successfully, what does it look like once we've received your application and begin reviewing it? We remind potential applicants that in reviewing applications in any discretionary grant program, the Secretary may consider information outside the rank order of applications, including the information in each application and any other information that might be, one, relevant to a criterion, priority, or other requirement that applies to the selection of applications for new grants. Number two, concerning the applicant's performance and use of funds under a previous award under any department program. And or number three, concerning the applicant's failure under any department program to submit a performance report or its submission of a performance report that was unacceptable. Before making awards, department staff will screen applications submitted in accordance with the requirements in the application notice and instructions to determine whether applicants have met eligibility, as well as other requirements such as responding to the absolute priorities and being an eligible entity. This includes whether an application met the general and terms and conditions applicable to awarded funds referenced elsewhere within the notice. This screening process may occur at various stages of the review and selection process. Applicants that are determined to be ineligible will not receive a grant, regardless of whether the application was included in the peer review process. Applications not selected for funding will be informed of the Secretary's decision. As far as the full application review process after screening, we also have the peer review. Peer reviewers will be assigned to your application, and those individuals have expertise in areas pertinent to the grant program. All reviewers are screened for conflicts of interest to ensure a fair and competitive review process. Peer reviewers will read, prepare a written evaluation of, and score the assigned applications using the selection criteria provided in the notice. For this competition, a panel of non-federal reviewers will review each application in accordance with those selection criterion. The individual scores assigned by the reviewers will be added and the sum divided by the number of reviewers to determine the average peer reviewer score received during the review process. As I've mentioned throughout the slide deck today, there is those tiebreakers. So in the event that there are two or more applications with the same final score in the rank order listing and there are insufficient funds to fully support each of the applications, the department will apply the following procedure to determine which application or applications will receive an award. That first tiebreaker is the smallest amount of funding allocated to indirect costs. If a tie remains, the second tiebreaker will be utilized. And under the second tiebreaker, the Secretary will select the application with the greatest projected total cost savings for students to be achieved during the 48-month performance period. Note, because projected total cost savings may affect the tiebreaker, applicants should present a credible savings methodology, including enrollment assumptions, current commercial textbook costs, adoption timeline, and projected use across the 48-month project period. And not only do you need to include this in your overall project narrative, but you need to include this on your abstract form. If you're not applying for the competition, you haven't been involved in any application that's submitted for the competition, and you're interested in being a reviewer and you have expertise related to the competition, here is our call for peer reviewers. We seek individuals with expertise and/or roles related to the competition as outlined below. It's college and universal faculty, staff and administrators, educational strategists and evaluators, grant writers, K-12 staff, K-12 and post-secondary experience in designing and implementing open textbooks and OER, supporting career pathways that include academic and technical sequences in high-demand fields tied to state priorities, designing and supporting work-based learning or workforce development programs aligned to state workforce priorities, and AI education and training, although this is not an exhaustive list. The reviewer expertise listed here also signals what strong applications should be prepared to explain, such as OER design, career pathways, high-demand fields tied to state priorities, and work-based learning or workforce development, as well as AI education and training. If you're interested in being a peer reviewer, here are some of the requirements. You must work approximately 60 hours over a 2 to 3 week period. You will complete a virtual reviewer training, and that date and time is to be determined. You must be available for the full review period. That full review period will be determined at a later time, and you must participate in at least 3 to 4 panel meetings, which can be during AM and PM time slots. And you must have access to a computer, internet, and phone during the review period. As far as conflict of interest, you cannot serve as a peer reviewer if you participated in preparing an application, are affiliated with an applying organization or partner, or have a financial or professional interest in the competition outcome, including interests of family members, employees, or associates. In order to apply as a peer reviewer, please submit a resume to otp@ed.gov and include in the subject line FY 2026 OTP peer review, and then furthermore register as a reviewer in the grantsolutions.gov. All right, we are coming to the end of our webinar today, but I wanted to leave you with some applicant resources. We've talked about all these resources throughout the webinar today, and they're also included on our website, as well as the DOL website and grants.gov, but I wanted to make sure to sum it up so that you have access to them. We have the Open Textbooks Application Notice and Instructions, which is the official notice for the competition. You also need to register, as I mentioned, in grants.gov, and you'll find the funding opportunity linked here, which is ed-grant-26-035. You need to register in sam.gov as a first step to either get a UEI number for your organization or update your UEI number. We have our OTP website. I have some information about open licensing requirements that we talked about here today, not only the regulations, but some technical assistance. We also have some technical assistance for ED grantees and some grants, training, and management courses developed by ED. All right. Well, thank you all so much for allowing me to speak to you today. I wanted to leave you off with some program contacts for OTP to support you as you're submitting your application. So again, our FY 2026 competition manager is my wonderful colleague, Dr. Robin Dabney, and you can contact her at otp@ed.gov. I'm Corinne Abrams. I am the OTP program lead, and you can contact me at corinne.abrams2@ed.gov. And then we have our wonderful division director, Dr. Stacy Slijepcevic, and she can be contacted at stacy.slijepcevic@ed.gov. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak to you today, taking time to listen to the webinar and provide technical assistance on the FY 26 OTP competition. We're so excited to support your efforts as you develop your applications and submit them in order to support creating new textbooks and expanding the use of textbooks in courses and course materials, especially those high enrollment courses and programs related to in-demand fields, and to help our students achieve the highest level of cost savings and prepare them for the necessary skills towards a career and a career pathway. So I'm very excited to be able to support you as you develop those projects. I can't wait to see your projects. I can't wait to read your applications. I'm sure our reviewers can't wait as well. And we just thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for all you do for our communities, for our students, for our nation, and we wish you all the best in filling out and submitting your application. Have a wonderful day and take care.